Hey, welcome back to DieCash Cars. So today, guys, we are going to be talking about size and if it matters. And obviously, we're talking about Hot Wheels. Alright, get your mind out the gutter. But we're talking about these 143 scales that have come out recently from Hot Wheels. I mean, everybody's kind of got a mixed review as far as if they like this, if they'll buy it. I mean, obviously the price point is a little steep, and we'll talk about that in a second here. But here, today, I'm going to give you guys my take on how I feel about these new 143 scales, the first couple of series, and also my recommendations for Hot Wheels and Mattel. Hopefully, somebody from their team is listening to this episode, because I'm going to give you guys a little bit of golden advice that I think will make this lineup successful moving forward. So when I first saw this Lamborghini Countach in person, the 143 scales, I had no intention on buying any of these larger 143 scales recently released here from Hot Wheels. But when I picked it up, I mean, there was a lot of heft to it. And then when you look on the bottom of the car, you can tell that it's actually a metal base, and the packaging is pretty interesting. I know a lot of other YouTubers have talked about it, but it's just a giant clamshell. The blister isn't intact to the card, so you can actually take the car in and out of the packaging, which is kind of nice from a display standpoint. But the other thing that really got me with this car was just the paint job. And I don't know if it's going to show up on camera here, but it's got blue metallic flake in the paint, which was just really attractive. It looked really good. And now that I have it out of pack, guys, I mean, in hand, again, because it's metal body and metal base, I mean, there's a really nice premium feel to this cast. And I know a lot of people have said that the big gripe is there's no opening features. It's not a pullback car. It's really meant for display, although it does have a rolling feature if you guys are into that. I don't know if there's going to be a 143 size track for you to run this down. So let's just talk about that price point. Again, this is right now selling at your Targets. Seems to be Target exclusive at the moment for $25. And that's pretty steep, given that premium carcultures, retro entertainments are only about $5 to $7. And then obviously your main lines, even though there has been a slight price increase in the last year here, I mean, they're only sitting at $1.20 at the most, $1.20 at the most. So for them to go all the way up to $25 on a single cast, given it's a 143 scale, I mean, that's just quite a surprise, because I will honestly say that when it comes to Hot Wheels collectors, I mean, we are bargain collectors. That's why we're buying 164 scale cars at essentially a dollar price point, no more than $10 price point. I mean, even if you look at 2-packs and team transports, diorama sets that are right now basically touching that $30 price point, I mean, those are always such a turnout because the value just isn't there. We'd rather buy a 164 scale at about $1.20, $1.25, with the hopes that it'll go up in value or have more perceived value, versus buying something at $25 that it's a question mark if it's truly $25 worth. And then on top of that, the market here in the US, at least, we just don't collect 143 scales. We don't have the space for it. We don't have display cabinets to put these in. I mean, we hang things on the wall. So this is really Hot Wheels and Mattel digging into a category that, in all honesty, doesn't exist. The other incentive to picking up this 143 scale Lamborghini Countach was that on the same day I found that at Target, I also found the Spettacolore Lamborghini Countach from Carculture. Not the chase piece, unfortunately, but it might even be better that it's white, because now it matches the 143 scale that I picked up. And I just thought that it would be really cool to have the larger scale and the mini scale side by side. I mean, that just looks cool. I mean, that's a different level of collecting and reason to collect is just to have the smaller version and the larger version. I mean, they look good next to each other. I will say again, because the 143 scale does have that blue metallic flake to it, the 164 scale does not. It's just an enamel white. So that's the one contrast that I feel like I wish Hot Wheels would have just matched it up. But nonetheless, they're both white Lambos, different scales, made by the same maker. I mean, they look good together. So there's definitely some positives with these 143 scales from Hot Wheels. So why aren't they selling? You guys saw I posted up a community post a couple of weeks ago. The pegs were just stacked with these Lamborghinis, as well as the yellow Corvette C8 Z06. I mean, why aren't they selling? Well, I talked about it earlier. Price point $25. That's just a big jump from what we're used to today from Hot Wheels when you're talking dollar main lines, $5 premiums. But I will say Hot Wheels isn't far off when it comes to the price of their 143s. In fact, I would almost say that at that scale, they're very competitive. I mean, if you look at the likes of Tarmac Works, I mean, all of their 143 scales are right around that $50 price point. Some of the higher end 143 scales like Spark and Ebro are in the sub $100 price point, even going up to $150 to $200. And then there's Ignition Model, which depending on what kind of release you get, whether it's a normal release or a show exclusive, I mean, you're talking upwards of $250 to $350. And I would definitely be the last person to complain about a $25 price point with the Hot Wheels 143, because I also have one of those Ignition Model show exclusive 143 scales. This is the Drift Kings AE86 with the green hood and everything. This, again, show exclusive, limited out of 240 pieces. I paid $350 for this thing. I know guys, but I'm super proud of this because it's a pretty rare piece. Obviously, it's not available here in the US. I had to get it on the international market. So just to show you guys, again, if you guys can see the little plaque there, it's a show exclusive out of 240 pieces, this being number 228. And to go along with it, I even picked up the Eno 64 version of this car just to pair with it within my display. So yeah, when you're talking about the 143 market and all the competition out there, everyone being twice as much as what Hot Wheels is putting out there for their 143 scales, it's really not terrible. It's just the simple idea that it's a price jump from what we're used to from Hot Wheels, and it is a scale that we're definitely not used to in the modern collecting age. So my advice to Hot Wheels, and hopefully somebody is listening from their team, but the fact that you guys are putting out 143 scales, and I would imagine you guys would even go back to the 118 scales that you guys used to do back in the early 2000s. Fingers crossed, because I am, again, a 118 scale collector. My advice to you guys is definitely move forward with the larger size DieCash Cars, but what you should do is incorporate those cars to be associated to popular casts that we as collectors already love. For instance, the EM1 Honda Civic Si. I mean, this was a first edition, basically one of the grandfathers of JDM Hot Wheels, and you guys turned it into a 118 scale with opening doors, movable steering, opening hood, detailed engine. If you guys can incorporate those details into your larger scales to where collectors can really connect to it, I feel like the larger scale cars will definitely be more successful. I mean, the funny thing is that Hot Wheels has already executed this kind of combination before in the past. Take, for example, this Nissan 350Z top secret liveried car in 164 scale, and not long after they executed this 150 scale, not quite 143, but a 150 scale Hot Import Nights D-Force larger scale version of the same popular 1/64 scale. I mean, look how nice it is to have this iconic top secret 350Z in a larger scale, and you can pair them together in all of your displays. I mean, that just looks great. Versus what Hot Wheels did give us, a brand new Lamborghini Countach, which I'm not mad at that, but there's just no connection to it from a collector side of things. And maybe it's a long-term deal. I know a lot of collectors have talked about it as they don't see that this line will be successful. So if you pick up these 143s now, they will have long-term value once the line gets discontinued, is kind of the thought. So instead of maybe this Lamborghini here, I mean, give us a golden nugget, a Phoenix yellow EK9, and then give us a super treasure variant as well too, all in 143. I mean, that would be unbelievable, guys. That's what they should do, not these brand new casks, which again we can respect, but there's just no connection to it. And at a $25 price point, I mean, who wouldn't pay for a golden nugget in a 143 scale? I mean, that would just be off the charts. That would be Hot Wheels to a whole new level. The last reference I'll share with you guys is something that we all learned very well from the late great Night Stalker, Chris Walker. I mean, he was famous for customizing Hot Wheels, and I would say one of the things he was most famous for from the customization world was making the supersize Hot Wheels. Again, taking very beloved, sought after Hot Wheel releases and then turning them into large, I would say 1/12 scale. I mean, they were massive versions of those Hot Wheels. I mean, he did a number of mini trucks because that was his passion, was mini trucks, and he did a lot of these custom supersized Hot Wheels for a number of celebrities as well too. So, I mean, if we could take a page out of the Night Stalker handbook, I mean, Hot Wheels, you guys have to have this information. You guys were directly tied to this man. Why have we not done more larger scale Hot Wheel releases that mimic the 1/64s that we love so much? So going back to the original question of the video, does size matter? It does, it definitely does. It plays a role, but I would say what's more important is the execution and the quality as well. But that's what I got for you guys today. Hot Wheels, that is my advice for you. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time on DieCash Cars.